Hello everyone. So in this video, I'm going to be arguing that Kant refuted nominalism by showing that existence is not a predicate. First, I'll give the explanation of why existence is not a predicate. First, I suppose I should explain what predication is. So, predication is distinct from identification. So, an example of identification would be something like 2 plus 2 equals 4. 2 plus 2 equals 4 is an identity claim, that 2 plus 2 is equal to 4 and 4 is equal to 2 plus 2. They are transitive. Predication, however, is not transitive. It only goes one way. So let's say Peter is a human and Bob is a human. That's predication. If these two propositions were transitive, then it would follow that if Peter is a human and Bob is a human, then Peter is Bob. But this is clearly not the case. So while identification is transitive, predication is not transitive. So let's look at these two propositions here. Proposition 1, something X exists, and proposition 2, I doubt my own existence. Now the reason I have the Cartesian sort of proposition under is to give an explanation of why existence is not a predicate. So let's look at proposition 2 here. I doubt my own existence. Obviously, if you doubt your own existence, that presupposes you exist in order to doubt it. Proposition 2 includes the words I and my. So the proposition presupposes that there is already an I and a my that is doing the doubting. It works a similar way for proposition number 1. So something X exists. To say something exists presupposes that there is a thing to be conceived of, something X, in which case the thing being referred to exists in at least a conceptual level. What does this mean about the nature of things, though? It implies that being a thing is the same as existing, or put another way, all things exist. From this, we can infer that non-things do not exist. An example of a non-thing would be a married bachelor or square circle. But what makes these non-things? What makes these non-things is that they do not refer to anything. The words God and table and something refer to things, whereas a married bachelor does not refer to anything, since it is a contradiction. So in essence, for an entity to be considered a thing, it must refer to a conceivable entity, which is an entity that is logically possible. At this point, you're probably wondering, what does any of this have to do with nominalism? Well, quite a bit, actually. Nominalism is the position that universals and abstract objects and possible worlds, among other things, do not exist. Now, you can be a nominalist about some things and a realist or a conceptualist about other things, but that's kind of getting off into the weeds here. So, nominalism is different from conceptualism, which says that universals and abstract objects do exist, but are only concepts in the human mind. Whereas a conceptualist would agree that redness exists, for example, a nominalist would deny that redness exists even at the conceptual level. For the nominalist, it does not exist simpliciter, or at all. If you remember, we concluded that the only entities that don't exist are ones that do not refer to anything, otherwise known as non-things or logically impossible entities. If the nominalist wants to say that redness does not exist, they would have to say that redness is logically impossible and does not refer to anything. These two propositions, my friend is a married bachelor and my shirt is red, would be semantically parallel, since both redness and a married bachelor are non-things. To say red does not refer to anything is the same as saying red refers to nothing. But if red refers to nothing, then saying my shirt is red really means my shirt is nothing, which is incoherent. Clearly, red does refer to something, particularly a specific color as opposed to another color, say yellow. And clearly, redness is not something that is logically impossible. The only entities that are considered logically impossible are ones that are contradictory. But there is nothing contradictory about the color red or the idea of red. I'm conceiving the color red in my mind as I speak. I propose that there is no adequate justification that can be given to show that redness truly is logically impossible. I may also be tempted to make a Karl Popper type of epiphenomenalist argument by saying that meaningless language would not have arisen out of evolution, but that's kind of unneeded here. A possible response to what I've said is that when we say red, we simply mean a particular set of physical wavelengths as opposed to a color or an idea. The problem with this is that if this is the case, this would mean red refers to a particular set of wavelengths as opposed to a different set of wavelengths. And for red to refer to something means that red is a thing, meaning that it exists in at least the conceptual level. Another criticism may be as follows. If existing simply refers to a thing at its conceptual category, then it seems that there is no difference between the propositions Harry Potter exists and the Eiffel Tower exists. This is strange, however, since we know that Harry Potter is a fictional character, whereas the Eiffel Tower exists in the real world. It's real. So given that existence refers to the base level of reality, the conceptual category, how do we semantically distinguish between two different types of existence, namely conceptual and real? For this, I would simply employ the word exist to refer to the conceptual category as Kant does, and employ the word actual to refer to the real category as Aristotle does. This may even allow for an inclusion of the potential actual distinction in the metaphysics of someone who accepts that existence is not a predicate. In review, to say something exists presupposes that there is a thing to be conceived of, in which case the thing being referred to exists in at least a conceptual level. This shows that existence is not a real predicate. Now, the fact that existence is not a predicate shows that the lowest category you can reduce the existence of a thing to is conceptual. And so nominalism, which would reduce the existence of a thing to a category below the conceptual, becomes incoherent. Alright, so let me know what you all think. If you have any criticisms or questions, I know there's a lot of stuff packed into such a short video, so I'm sure there will be questions and some clarifications needed. But anyway, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.